Greetings. Took a little rest after that first WAD. It's kind of tiring, typing all that HTML. But now we're going to start on BrowserHistory2, which I'm looking at, and it seems like it's going to be kind of a more relaxing, fun WAD. So let's get started. We should have studied the CSS tutorial and Google Web Fonts links in the resources section. Actually, I'm going to just keep this up here because I'm noticing that it's got something useful to me. And I'm going to start my timer. Whoops, that's not my timer. It's my live reload. So start the timer. And now we've got a Create an Eclipse project called BrowserHistory2. So let's go over here, new, generic project. Generic project. It's going to be called BrowserHistory2. There we have it. Copy the index file from BrowserHistory1 into this project. So we'll select that project and we'll say save as, and we'll click that one. Okay. And now we've got the index.html in BrowserHistory2. Create a second file called style.css in this project. So we'll say new file, BrowserHistory2, style.css. Okay, and then we're going to use set up live reloading. So I'm going to add BrowserHistory2 into this. All right, and then what the heck? We might as well open file BrowserHistory2. No, that's not the right one. Sorry. We're going to open the file in Workspace BrowserHistory2. There we go. Okay. And then just to check to make sure, now we're going to enable live reload for that browser, and so we'll go here and we'll just check. Oh, notice that I don't have my word wrap on, so let's get word wrap going. And let's change the title to just add a test. Okay, now we can see that, you know, everything's good. We're going to get our live reloading the way we want it to. Okay, so now link style.css in your index.html file so your CSS styles will be applied to the HTML and index it. Okay, so in order to do that, what we need in our head is to have a link, rel equals style sheet, href equals style.css. Okay, so now that that's happening, let's just play around for a second. So let's say body, this is my favorite thing to do, font, blue, let's add that. And then if we look at our font, color, blue. Okay, so now we can see that, you know, we know that anything we change to style.css, we're going to see it immediately. And we've already assessed that index.html, and I'm going to actually slide these guys. Let's split the screen so we can see both at once, and that will make life a little more fun. Okay, and actually let me just close this project because we're not going to need it anymore. Close project. Okay, that, you know, I don't really want to have that, obviously, so let's get rid of that, and everything goes back the way it was to beginning. Now let's go back to here, see what we got to do. So the first thing we got to do is we got to create the font for heading should be Oswald, the font for non-heading should be Open Sans. So that's using our Google fonts, and in order to do that, the first thing we have to do is actually load them. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to copy it right here, but we don't want Tangerine. what we actually wanted was Oswald and Open Sans. So the way we do that is we're going to say Oswald, and then the pipe, and then open, and then whenever you have a space in the name of a font, use the plus sign. And so now we should have those two font, and now we got to say heading should be Oswald. And so we've got H1 and H2. So we're going to say H1, H2, and then we're going to say font family, colon, Oswald, and Oswald is a sans serif font, so we want to have a fallback position in case for some reason it can't load it. So let's go back to our browser guy and save this out. Okay, and magically you can see that the H1 and H2 fonts are now using Oswald, which is, you know, nicer than the default. Okay, and then going back to our WAD, we need, and you know, I'm just kind of irritated by this notion that I have to just make this really small. I hate to just go back and forth between tabs. I like to just see things. This is also kind of an advertisement for a cinema display because you can see so many things at once. Okay, the font for non-heading text should be Open Sans. So the way we can do that is we can just say body, and then in there we can say font family Open Sans, and that of course is sans as well. So when I update that, now you can see that in our browser, everything is now the right font. The font color should be dark blue. So the way we get that is we say color dark blue, and that's now changed. So that's kind of good. Top and bottom margins should be 10 pixels. Left and right margins should be 50 pixels. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to say margin, and then this margin, I forget what they call it, the kind of collapsed version or abbreviation is top right, bottom left. So you're going to say 10 px, 50 px, 10 px. So top right, bottom, 50 px, 5 px, 50 px. Okay, and then when I save this out, we should see the margins change a little bit here. So let's see that. So I save, and yeah, you can see we've got a little nicer spacing. And then we've got text width is supposed to be 950 pixels. So we're going to say width 950 px, and there we go. So you can see we've still got that margin. It's just it's going to go into the these scroll bars. Background color should be ivory. So for that, what we're going to say is background color ivory, and so now we've got a little tinge of thing, and then the logo should be in line with the text. So yeah, so this is kind of lame. You got this logo, and so the way we can fix that is we can say img, and we're going to say float colon left. Save that out, and now they're all in line. Wasn't that easy? And you know, I don't know, it's a little, they kind of rub up against the text a little bit. So this is not really margin right. This is optional, you know, you don't really have to do this, but I don't know, like, you know, it just looks a little nicer if we move it apart. So that's how you do that. Put a margin right on your logo. And so now, if I expand this, and you click on it to see it bigger. Okay, let's see what we made. Looks pretty darn close. We're gonna call it a win. All right, thanks a lot, and see you next time. That was about 9.5 minutes.